Hey, we are two Star Wars nerds, and we are back with another Star Wars Wisdom Talk. What we've been doing right now is going through the Clone Wars animated series, and there's these great quotes at the beginning of episodes. And today's says, "Sometimes accepting help is harder than offering it." And this one stood out to you in particular, so why don't you take the reins on this and share your thoughts?
It stood out to me just because I feel like it is so relatable for so many people. I mean, I've heard from so many people that it's easy to offer help, but for some reason we're like, oh, I'll help, but like we don't ever ask for when we need help. And I think there's a lot of different reasons that could be, but one of the reasons I feel like is even subconsciously could be like you're struggling with possibly like pride, like, oh, I don't need help, I can do it on my own, and you feel like there's a weakness that comes if you ask for help. And I know personally I've been there feeling like if I ask for help or if I don't do it on my own, I'm weak. And what I've learned is that's not the case. Like, asking for help is an amazing thing, and we're made and created to be around people, to be in community, and to rely on one another. And so when we isolate ourselves and we try to do everything on our own, that's not gonna be beneficial to us whatsoever. I think we're designed to rely on each other, to pick each other up, to grab each other's hands and walk through things together, and just realize that it's okay to ask for help. It doesn't mean you're less than or anything like that. We all need help with different things, and it's hard. I think it's hard to comprehend that. Like, we can say that all we want, but then when it comes down to it, to actually take those steps and ask for help and overcome the obstacles stopping you from it is difficult. With a lot of these wisdoms, it's easier said than done. But I think when we're aware of it and we choose to step out and make those steps, even when it's difficult, we're going to see that we have a family around us, that we have people around us who love us and support us. And I think we all have to learn how to ask for help instead of always giving it away. Like, we still obviously help people, but learn to accept it as well.
Yeah, and I think you hit it on the head, especially with one phrase, that we need community. I think it's important for everybody to understand, even the few listening to our voice, we were designed and created for community.
Yep.
We were not designed and created for isolation. There's important times to withdraw and to have alone time. You need to be okay being alone. But there's also the overwhelming reality that we are meant for community. We are meant to live in communion with each other. And I one thing I've just noticed, I don't think anybody on the face of the planet would say, locking people up like what people experienced just recently in their homes did anybody any good. If anything, people are like, I value face-to-face relationships.
Right.
I long for that, and it's like you realize just how much you need that. And what I just remember, there is a time in my life where I felt like I was supposed to ask people for help with a bunch of things. And you know me, that like I do so much on my own. I'm not one to ask for help.
Yep.
Typically, maybe you could call it arrogance or proficiency. I don't know. I'm like, I can do it well by myself.
Well, you have a lot of skills, or you have a wide skill set that not a lot of other people have. And so that, I think, goes into play for you.
Yeah, and typically I just think I can just do it myself.
Right, that's easier.
But what I found is whether I had to go grab a big ladder at work for something, I asked for help. When it's like, I can usually do it. I do it by myself. But then it's like, okay, I would go ask for help. Or I was going to design something, I asked for help. Or everything I started asking for help. And I realized what it was doing is it was breaking down walls for then when I really needed help, I would actually ask for it.
That's good.
Because I had trained and conditioned myself. So yeah, I could have gotten into, it's so I could give away and I could teach others all this. Sure, right? But at the end of the day, like a very real practical thing, we were driving we live, I guess, in northern Oregon, right outside of like the Portland area, you know, and we're driving down to California, and this whole nightmare scenario happened where we like pull off to get some gas and food, and we hear grinding in our car, and we're like, that is not right.
It's
and
not good.
Once we got going slower, we found out, like, I mean, it's almost 8 or 10 o'clock at night. It was like super late. Maybe it was a little earlier, but anyway, come to find out, like, the bearings on one of our wheels, actually, they were new, but apparently they weren't really new from the mechanic, and they were totally shot. And this whole thing played out to where it's like, now we've got to call this mobile mechanic and get this guy to come out, and then we're getting the bill for that, and we're like, that is way more than we can afford right now, because we got to get that and a rental car and a hotel and all of this. And as a good American man, I had to lay aside all of my pride and humble, and I had to ask a friend, like, bro, can you help? Like, my trip budget is about to go to just staying the night because of how expensive everything got.
Right.
But all of that, found out, like, just so much good came from all of that. Tremendous. Like, from that trip, we probably wouldn't have our son. You know, it just created a lot of things within us. But I'm thinking, if I were to be like, no, I'm not going to ask for help, I would have hardened my heart. I would have potentially missed out on a lot of stuff. But I think you're so right. That's where we have to be willing to accept help. We have to be willing to live with other people. We have to do community. We have to do life with them.
And not just accept it, ask for it.
Yeah, that's even more important.
And harder.
It definitely is, you know, and obviously our bent is life as an American, you know, and it's different in other parts of the world, but found that we just have to forget about nationalism and egos and pride and all of that, and just be like, you have something that can help me, and I'm in need. Can you help? And it's amazing. And then you find out people care for you, and you're not alone. And the thing is, you're never meant to be an island.
That's right.
You're not. You're supposed to do everything together. That's how communities and civilizations have worked forever. And apparently in the 21st century, we think we're the exception to it. Because of the internet, we're better. Right. But anyway, do you have any final thoughts on this?
No, I don't. Ask for help.
Receive help.
Yeah.
Yes, ask and accept help.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing. When people ask you, hey, how are you doing? Do you need a hand? And you lie to them and you say, no, I'm good. Call it a lie. Call it out and say, no, I actually do need your help. Thanks for asking.
Yep.
But anyway, with that, let us know what speaks to you from this quote. Yeah. With that, we are two Star Wars nerds. May the Force be with you always.